Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
1, 2. Check me out right here, yo.
Yo, the sun don't shine forever, but as long as it's here, then we might as well shine together.
He's not compensating for anything. He just doesn't care. It's the Bob Sullivan Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Thank you for joining me for another edition of the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. If you'd like to call in, the number is 585-633-7487. I am joined here in hour number 1 by Daryl Wilson of pickandroll.com.au and spitzgame.com. Daryl, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine, thank you, Bob. Thanks for having me on. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing spectacular. Just enjoying the NBA season as it's starting to kick into high gear. It's exciting when. Always in the West, it's always it's always wild. It just seems like every year in, year out, it just keeps on getting better and better in the Western Conference. Why do you think that is? Why the West keeps getting better and better and the East just keeps continually getting worse?
It's just, it's something that these front offices are doing on the Western Conference that the East isn't. I just can't pinpoint it. I can't pinpoint it right now. Maybe it's the way the players are gravitating. A lot of the more veteran seasoned players like to play in warmer weather cities and travel to the West Coast as opposed to the East Coast. I really can't call it. The Eastern Conference hasn't been really on top since the days of Michael Jordan, when they were battling against the Detroit Pistons and the New York Knicks. But that being said, though, the Miami Heat did win 2 championships in the last 3 years. So you can't really knock the East too much. They're just top heavy, but that's about it. Like the 8th place team in the Western Conference is basically like the second seed in the East right now. So I don't know, it's kind of strange. The MVP race and everything, all the top players are in the West right now.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, 3 of the best teams in the league. One's Atlanta, one's Golden State, and another one's Memphis. I mean, 3, like in the 90s, those were 3 of the more poorly run organizations at the time. And now we're looking at 3 of the better run organizations right now.
Definitely, that's interesting. And speaking of Atlanta, the majority of Atlanta's front office came from San Antonio Spurs. So a lot of people like to nickname Atlanta the Spurs of the Eastern Conference right now, from their president to the general manager, even the head coach came from the Spurs system. So they learned something how the Spurs are running all those championships and running their dynasty to sort of build their franchise. And a lot of teams are starting to model themselves after the San Antonio Spurs. Maybe if more Eastern Conference teams do that, maybe we'll sort of get back to an even scale. But until they do that, the Eastern Conference pretty much boring basketball, so much that NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has contemplated using like a no division or no conference system when it comes to the playoffs, where you don't have a team like Miami, who's 25-33 right now, is making the playoffs. If he proposes this change and it passes through, then you have like the 11th place team in the Western Conference right now making the playoffs, which is the Utah Jazz. It's just crazy.
Do you agree with that? Just having the 16 best teams make it versus 2 conferences?
I don't like that.
I don't
really
either.
Don't like that. If you're going to do that, you might as well just get rid of the conferences all together. Just get rid of the conferences, because the scheduling is not going to be balanced. You're not going to have a balanced schedule, so it wouldn't be fair to all the teams who have to run through a gauntlet and play, a tougher schedule to not make it. It really wouldn't be fair. What I think the NBA should actually do, and I've been saying this for some years, is to duplicate what they're doing in the NFL and duplicate what they're doing in Major League Baseball and have sort of like a quasi-American conference and a national conference where you sort of have the teams bi-coastal equally in the same conference. You know what I mean? So it's a separated. I don't know how they're going to go about putting one team in one conference, another team in another conference, but it shouldn't be separated geographically. You know, this should sort of be combined. So if you do that, I think it'll be a little bit more fair, you know, especially with the way traveling is going right now where, you know, everybody has their private jets and they don't have to board commercial flights. I think it'll be real interesting if they do it that way.
I mean, there could be things you could fix where, I mean, you move, I guess, New Orleans and Memphis over to the east. And then I guess I don't really know who you would move over to the west. But, it's kind of tricky because the west, there's a lot more smaller markets that are, they can, like the big markets, you look at like New York. I mean, there's a theory out there with like New York, Boston, Philly, that the fan bases are so impatient that if you try to rebuild the way Philadelphia is doing, I mean, you're just going to completely kill the fan base, or, you're pressured into buying terrible free agents and whatnot. And then you look in the West, they don't have the resources to pay those kind of guys. So they have to build through their draft, make smart investments in free agency and whatnot.
That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point, and a lot of it has to do with the corporate sponsorship that each team gets in those big markets. So you definitely do have the point. The corporate sponsors, do get impatient when they're investing their money on advertising in an arena and with the team. Like they want to see, they want to have their money attached to a winning product. So when they're not winning and they're not having their logo on the winning team or in the winning team's arena, they get impatient and teams overreact. Make trades that they shouldn't make.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Philadelphia. Philadelphia right now, they're completely tanking, but making moves for like guys like, over the years, it'd be like a Jason Richardson moves, just kind of attempting quick fixes, that just don't make sense when, they had guys like Lou Williams, Andre Iguodala, they ship everybody out for Andrew Bynum. It's just funny to me how bad, these teams haven't been relevant, like the Knicks and Sixers, for years because they attempt all these quick fixes. And you look at like, how Seattle / Oklahoma City did it. They, did it the smart way, did it through the draft, because they had time. They could buy time because they didn't really have to worry about a fan base.
Yeah, it's interesting. What Philadelphia is doing right now is this. This is terrible, criminal. And it's a real bad look. It's a bad look on the league. It's a real bad look. So they took a guy like Drew Holiday, who made the All-Star team, and the very next summer sent him off to New Orleans for a draft pick, a guy who's come off with ACL surgery, and they knew he wasn't going to play in the season. And they did the same thing again this season when they made a trade and they drafted Joel Embiid, and they knew he wasn't going to play this season. Then they had a Rookie of the Year last year, Michael Carter-Williams, and just traded him at the trade deadline for peanuts and draft picks. It's absolutely ridiculous. That makes no sense whatsoever. I don't think anybody can really understand what they're doing.
It's like they're trying to be the Patriots, except for there's nothing behind it. Like where the Patriots, every draft, they go in with like 5 draft picks and they come out with 15 players they've drafted. And, but they never draft anybody in the first round. The Sixers have like a bunch of second round picks coming up, and it's like, well, and they got rid of KJ McDaniels. I mean, what are you doing? I mean, the guys that show promise, they're getting rid of, and I just have no idea what they're doing. I I suggested this when they were like 0-15 or something, that the NBA should fine them $1 million as long as they're admitting they're tanking until they try to put out a reasonable product.
The NBA should adopt a relegation system. Are you familiar with relegation?
Yeah.
So relegation, for everybody who doesn't know what relegation is a system that they use in Europe, especially with the soccer teams, where they have, say you have 20 teams in the league, only the 17 best teams will continue to be in that league, and the bottom 3 teams, like if you run your franchise into the ground and you have a terrible team, like you get kicked out the league, and some other teams come up. Like NBA should totally adopt that. Then you would avoid all this tanking, and all the games would be competitive to the end of the year.
And then you have a playoff between, you have a playoff between the teams that are, in the lower divisions, like the 14 worst teams compete for the 16th spot the next year. Yeah, I like that, like the Premier League does in soccer.
Yeah, they should definitely do that. It would be so.
I thought they should do that in baseball for years.
They should do that. They should do that in all the sports, the NFL, MLB, everything. It would be so interesting. These fan bases would go crazy.
Looking at the Rockets, do you think they're a better team right now? I mean, regular season wise, they look like they're a better team without Dwight Howard, but I get the feeling that they're going to need him come playoff time, because I just don't. I see them as a first round exit if they don't have, Dwight down there rebounding. Josh Smith has actually played fairly decent for them. But I think come playoff time, you're going to need a Dwight Howard. What do you think their ceiling is if they don't have Dwight come playoffs?
I think as much as people would like to not Dwight Howard, they're definitely a better team with him. It just goes to show, like, the system that they have right now and how well James Harden is playing, that they're doing so well without Dwight Howard. I think right now they're matched up against the Dallas Mavericks, who will be the 6th seed. I think they could beat Dallas in the playoff matchup. I think they could beat any of these teams in the Western Conference in the playoff matchup, actually, in the first round. I mean, the Western Conference first round is going to be absolutely crazy, where you could have an 8th seed in Oklahoma City, if they have Kevin Durant back by the playoffs and healthy, to match up against Golden State and to knock out Golden State. But without Dwight Howard, I don't see the Rockets getting past the second round. But I agree. They have Terrence Jones. Terrence Jones just came back, so they've been playing virtually the whole entire season without their young power forward Terrence Jones, and he showed today what they have been missing. So maybe he could alleviate a little bit of that, but not enough.
Yeah, I just feel, Terrence Jones, he's very underrated, good defensively, and very strong guy. The Western Conference is going to be insane. Last year was crazy in the playoffs. What was there? Like 6 Game 7s in the first round. I mean, we could probably, all 4 in the Western Conference are probably going to go 7. And as crazy as it sounds, Golden State's the best team right now, but come playoff time, it's funny how everything will completely go out the window. Records and everything. Home court advantage, I don't think, is going to play a huge part. Because Oklahoma City and Golden State are pretty great places to play at come playoff time, but it's just going to be ridiculous to see, all these matchups, and probably going to be the best playoffs you'll ever see.
Golden State's a ridiculous 24-2 right now at home, and I don't think that they're comfortable with what the seeding is right now at all. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to play Oklahoma City with the way Russell Westbrook has been playing as of late. Like, nobody wants to see this team at all right now. But to Golden State's defense, they've been playing some excellent defense, which goes really unnoticed by a lot of people. People look at Golden State and all they see is Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Splash Brothers, but they've been playing excellent defense. They're one of the top 5 teams as far as defensive rating and points per 100 possessions in this league right now. And they're gonna be a tough out, man. But just because they're gonna be the 1 seed, and they actually might not even be the 1 seed with Memphis creeping up on them, but it's not automatic. It's not automatic for them to get out the first round at all. It doesn't matter who they play. If they play San Antonio, it doesn't matter. I think only the most vulnerable team right now that's in the playoff season in the Western Conference are the Dallas Mavericks, and that's just because they don't have their chemistry together. And the whole thing with Rajon Rondo is just crazy right now. So I mean, the playoff race, the playoff picture, as you look at it, Bob, it is very exciting.
Do you, with the way Rondo has fit in, or the lack of fitting in with Dallas, do you think there's any problem with him and it's going to be a problem going forward with him and Rick Carlisle? And because I really, Rondo has had these dust-ups with, Doc Rivers in the past, maybe not this public, but, it's always been a question with him, is his attitude at times. And he thinks he knows everything. Do you think this is going to be a huge problem going forward?
Yes. I think he's a smart enough player. He's a smart enough player to adjust for a short period of time. But just to succeed in this league, chemistry as a team has to be together. And what they have going in Dallas right now just isn't clicking. It isn't clicking at all. Rondo is not a fit into that offensive system. I know they made the trade for his defense, but he's not a fit in that offensive system. Rick Carlisle's offense is predicated on ball movement, setting screens at the elbows, spacing, having guys that can hit jump shots. So Rondo's not a very good shooter. What he is a ball-dominant point guard who likes to have the ball in his hands at all times and likes to pick apart defenses and pad his assist stats. And right now, that offense just isn't clicking with him at the helm. And even right now, he's coming off the bench after that bust-up. Who knows if he's going to win a starting job back by the end of the season. But the naysayers, when that trade was made, seem to be on the right end of how they foresaw that. I know you discussed that trade a few weeks ago, and I thought it was a good trade. They have been a better defensive team, but at the time they were the number 1 offense in the NBA. I think now they're down to either 3rd or 4th, and that's because teams are sagging off of Rondo and guarding the passing lanes, giving him the jump shots, and loading up on Dirk and loading up on Monte Ellis, and nobody's getting anything open at all. So they're going to have to figure it out by the end of the season. It's too late for them to change their identity completely, but they're going to have to do something to make that work.
With Rondo, I think he's I'd compare him to he's selfishly unselfish, and I'd kind of compare him to like Dominique Wilkins. Well, Dominique Wilkins was a scoring version, but Rondo's entire time in Boston, I mean, he was great, but since the ACL injury, he dominates the ball so much. Wilkins back in the day with the Hawks, he would hold the ball for 21 seconds on the shot clock, and if he couldn't find anything, he'd fire it to somebody else, and they'd be left with nothing. I kind of compare Rondo to that, in the fact
Carmelo.
that well, that's true, but Rondo, he's not going to shoot, so when he does pass, it kind of low in the shot clock. He doesn't really set. He's at this point in his career after the ACL injury, he's not really setting people up very well. And learning a new system and learning new players, he's not really setting up anybody very well at this point in his career. And everybody's talking about how, the Knicks should go after Rondo or the Lakers should go after Rondo. I would stay away at this point in his career.
I think with the off season, and you have a player in training camp, I think there could be some adjustments even by the coaching staff and by the player when you have time to learn the system. But bring a guy like him in mid-season just wasn't a way to go. He can't change his stripes just mid-season, and I don't think he's going to be in Dallas at all. Dallas shouldn't make him an offer. It's talk that they are going to make him an offer at the end of the season, and word is Rondo's going to decline it, but they shouldn't even make this guy an offer. It's clearly that it's not a good fit. It's clear it's not a good fit in that system at all with Rick Carlisle. There's been a lot of rumors that his first choice is the Lakers. And, you know, I'm a big supporter of Rondo, but I don't think that's a guy I want on my franchise. And Kobe's last season when his team is trying to rebuild, you can't rebuild around a guy like that. That's somebody that you would, you know, put into a system and have him grow with other players. I don't know what actually would be a good fit for him, to tell you the truth. It doesn't look like. You know,
I really don't either. I really don't either. I don't see a good fit out there for him. I mean, Indiana's not going to have the money to, you know, shell his way. I don't even think that would be a good fit. I just don't know what a good fit would be.
He has to be on the defensive team. You have to put him on a team that plays excellent defense, and you have some bigs on the inside that can rebound very well. Kind of like what Boston was. Boston was a defensive team when Doc Rivers was there, and Garnett, or if it was Kendrick Perkins, or whoever else it was, rebounded the ball very well. And like if you shot the ball, like there's somebody that could run and get the offensive rebound. And Dallas isn't a very good rebounding team. And a lot of that has to do with Tyson Chandler missing some games right now as well. That's a key part that hasn't really been spoken about Dallas right now. Tyson Chandler's been missing some games, and they don't have anybody to go and get the rebounds. Dallas traded Brandon Wright, who's an excellent rebounder as well. They don't have anybody to get the rebounds, or Rondo shoots the shots. So they're pretty much SOL right now. They don't have any body that could stop the shots on the interior. You know, it's you know, we're spending a lot of time talking about the Dallas Mavericks, a team that's going to get bounced out the first round, man. Let's talk about a team that's similar to them in record, like the Los Angeles Clippers, who I had the Clippers written for dead a couple of weeks ago when Blake Griffin went out with that staph infection. And DeAndre Jordan has been playing out of his mind right now. In the month of February, he's averaged 16 points and 17 rebounds per game, and he's keeping the Clippers afloat with Blake Griffin off. And if it wasn't for Russell Westbrook having that crazy month of February, DeAndre Jordan would probably be the player of the month in this league. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens, or if he performs still at this level when Blake Griffin does come back. If he is playing at this level when Griffin comes back, the Clippers are going to be a very scary team,
Well, we're going to go ahead and take our first break. We're going to take a short break here, and when we come back, we'll be back with Daryl Wilson talking some more NBA, maybe a little less talk about bad teams, and we'll talk some good teams here on the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Crowd of emotions stumbling all around my heart. It must mean that you're near me, 'cause I can breathe you like your start. I'd give you everything, I'd take you anywhere you'd ever want to go. Just tell me what it takes to make you mine. Time I've been waiting my life to feel, baby, you love this you. But while my past keeps on fading, say that you're here to stay, ever take this love from me. I feel this flood all around me. I'm drifting through a whole new life, where all I want is to have you, and you're my reason why. I'd give you everything, I'd take you anywhere you'd ever want to go. Just tell me what it takes to make you mine. 'Cause all this time I've been waiting my life to feel, baby, you love is real. Though all my past keeps on fading, say that you're here to stay. Baby, don't ever take this love from me. All this time I've been waiting my life to feel, baby, you love is real. For all my past keeps on fading, say that you're here to stay. Baby, don't ever take this love from me. I can breathe your light, you start. All this time I've been waiting my life to feel, baby, you love is real. But all my past keeps on fading, say that you're here to stay. Baby, don't ever take this love from me. All this time I've been waiting my life to feel, baby, you love is real. My past keeps on fading, say that you're here to stay. Baby, don't ever take this love from me. Baby, don't ever take love from me.
Baby, you're a mystery, tell me what's a girl gotta do. Looking at the history doesn't seem to give any clue. Just when I think I understand it all, you seem to unravel some more. Ooh, la, 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 ooh, I never know nobody like you. Ooh, la, 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 ooh, now, now I know. Baby, you're the neighbor. Ooh, la, la, ooh, la, 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 oh. Yeah, you keep me guessing, I'm confessing now, well, baby, it's true. I never know nobody like you. Baby, you're an enigma. Baby, you're a riddle, I'm caught up in the middle of you. I'm trying to think bigger, but I can't seem to figure it through. I wanna make it better, but now I'm scared of looking a fool. Oh, baby, no, I've never been very good at playing it cool. Just when I think I understand it all, I find I know nothing at all. Ooh, I never know
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
There's a reason his initials are BS. It's the Bob Sullivan Show on latenightsportsradio.com.
Just one mistake is all it will take. We'll go down in history.
Welcome back to the Bob Sullivan Show here on latenightsportsradio.com. I am joined by Daryl Wilson of spitzgame.com and pickandroll.com.au. Daryl, the MVP race, it's pretty much a four-man race. One of the more interesting races we've had. Two guys that have played pretty much the entire season and two guys that, have come back from injury and have been absolutely spectacular since coming back in LeBron and Westbrook. What is your take right now on the MVP? Do you think you can give it to two guys that have missed significant portions of the season? Or do you think they should go the Curry-Harden route for MVP?
The way I look at it is, even though they have missed good portions of the season, there's still some time to catch up and make up some games, especially with the way LeBron and Westbrook have been playing and have been elevating their teams. Their numbers have been phenomenal. Right now, to me, James Harden is the MVP. But when you look at LeBron James, he's missed 11 out of his team's 60 games. And Westbrook has missed 15 out of his team's 49 games. They're 3-4 right now. But Harden and Curry is 1-2. With LeBron James, we're talking off air about, people say that anytime LeBron is in the league, that he's always the MVP of the league. I don't agree with that. Your team has to win a substantial amount of games, and you have to put up phenomenal numbers. One, he is putting up phenomenal numbers. He's averaging 26 points right now, 26 points, 7 assists, and almost 6 rebounds. But his team is only 37-24, but they've been hot as of late, like 18 out of the last 22 games. If they somehow can make it to 55 wins, and they'll have to finish like 18-3 or something like that, you have to give him legitimate consideration for the MVP if they can make it to 55 wins. If they could be at 55 in 2017, you have to give him some props. But James Harden is putting up similar numbers to LeBron James. Better, actually. He's a better scorer at the moment. And he's doing everything for that team. He's doing everything for the Rockets. Everything. He's played all the games this year. And, Dwight Howard has missed half the season, and he should be the man on that team. But James Harden is doing it all. People like to knock him for defense or whatnot, but he's been better defensively this season. And to me, he's the MVP of this league. A lot of people like to say Stephen Curry, because Golden State has the best record in the NBA. But he has a lot of help on that team. He has, Klay Thompson, Andre Iguodala, Harrison Barnes, Draymond Green, who should probably get a lot of consideration for most improved player. They have two guys on the team to get consideration for most improved player, Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. But James Harden has pretty much been doing everything on his own. And it's his race to lose right now, especially with how hot the Rockets are.
Do you think with looking at Oklahoma City, everybody rips on getting rid of Harden, and rightfully so. But the trades they made at the deadline to pick up Cantor, earlier in the season they picked up Waiters. They also got snipers and Steve Novak and Kyle Singler. And, another trade that's coming up is if Durant comes back healthy. Is this the most, with the way they put together this team, is this the most feared team in the West? Would you be the most feared of this team in the West right now?
If they're healthy, and that's the key. That's the key. That's always a question because Durant has been in and out the lineup this season. If it's not one thing, it's another with him. If they don't have Durant at 100%, they're just a very good team. They won't be the most feared. But if Durant is 100%, yes, they're absolutely the most feared team because they could do it all, offense and defense. For the record, I'm not of that party that thinks that they made the mistake by trading James Harden because they had a decision that they needed to make. And that decision was either keep Harden and have 3 dominant perimeter players or lose Harden and keep Serge Ibaka. Now, Serge Ibaka is a big difference maker on that team. Without him on that team, they wouldn't be able to stop anybody. And they'll just be a team that scores 110 points a game but gives up 115 points. They'll basically be in a shootout every single game without Serge Ibaka. They don't have anybody on the team to grab the rebounds or just stop up the paint. So I think they made a smart decision. It took a long time for them to recover from the loss of James Harden, but I think they made the wise decision by keeping the big man. Like if you have a choice, sometimes you have to go with the big man, especially when they already had Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. But yes, those trades that they made pretty much had done the job for them to fill in some of the holes because they were missing a big man on the inside that could score some points, and they have that now with Cantor, and they have the shooters with Singler and Novak when he gets off the bench, and DJ Augustine, who played well today in Russell Westbrook's absence. But this team has to be healthy. If they're not healthy, Westbrook is missing some more games, the Durant's missing games, they'll just be a good team. And truth be told, Durant better come back soon because I think Russell Westbrook is going to get tired carrying his team on his back all by himself, and they better hope that New Orleans doesn't make a run and catch them for that HC.
Well, with what do you think would be the bigger detriment? What's the bigger detriment? Health for the Oklahoma City Thunder or Scott Brooks as their coach?
Oh man, Scott Brooks. When you have talent and those talented players could gel together, I think you could overcome the coaching. But health is a bigger detriment on that team. Like you have to have a healthy Durant, and you have to have a healthy Westbrook. Without any of those guys, you're not going to go anywhere. I don't care who's coach. I don't care if Popovich is coaching. If Popovich doesn't have his players, the San Antonio Spurs aren't winning championships. You have to have players. You have to have the talent.
Do you think speaking of the Spurs, do you think they should be concerned about the playoffs right now with the way how poorly they've been playing recently?
I don't think the Spurs care about anything. They haven't really been at 100% at all. They do not care about the regular season whatsoever. They really don't. Kawhi Leonard has been injured for most of the season. I think that's one of the reasons why the Spurs are languishing right now in 7th place because Kawhi Leonard hasn't really been playing. Tony Parker is a little bit banged up right now. So I don't think the San Antonio Spurs are worried whatsoever. Once the playoffs start, or when it gets close to the playoffs, you see them click and take it to another level. Well, I agree. They have not been playing well at all, but I doubt that Greg Popovich is worried at all.
The Spurs are always the best at, after winning a championship, being the most disinteresting team after winning a championship. I mean, they've made that their calling card. I mean, every time they win a title, the next year it's like, they're, in the 4, 5, 6, 7 range, and it's just like, well, this team's falling apart. And who really cares about it? I've never, whenever the Heat, like if the Heat won, it's always like, oh, are they gonna repeat, or how many titles are they gonna win? Or the Lakers, there's some drama there. There's never any drama with the Spurs. It's so disinteresting after they win a title the next year. There's no drama. There's no nothing. It's just like, who the hell cares?
That's the way, that's the way they build their team. They're no frills. And, they play in the toughest division in the NBA. Like, they play in the same division as Memphis, Houston, and Dallas, and even New Orleans. New Orleans is a team at 32-27 that's knocking on the door for the playoffs. Like, they could potentially have 5 teams in the playoffs right now, because New Orleans has won 5 games in a row, and they're breathing down Oklahoma City's neck. So, the Spurs, they do not care. Like, they're completely uninterested, even when they are winning, to everybody in the league. Like, nobody really talks about the Spurs. Nobody cares about what the Spurs are doing until they go in the playoffs and kick everybody's ass. And, they've been the model franchise in the NBA for years on now. But like I just mentioned, the thing about talent, once Tim Duncan decides to call it quits, Greg Popovich is going to be in a world of trouble. And pretty much Tony Parker looks like he's on his way out. Ginobili looks like he's on his way out too. They're just not the players that they used to be. And Kawhi Leonard, I don't think could carry that team all by himself. He's just an excellent piece that fits in that puzzle that helps them win games. And it'll be interesting to see if Greg Popovich retires or Tim Duncan retires. There has been a lot of talk about that.
Do you think the Southwest Division is the best division in the NBA since the Pacific Division of the late 80s, early 90s with the Lakers, Trailblazers, Run TMC with Golden State, the Suns, Sonics? Do you think this is the best division there's been since that Pacific Division in the late 80s?
Easily, because back in the days, if I recall correctly, those divisions had 10 teams each or 12 teams. Yeah, so it was diluted. The more teams you have in the division, it was diluted, and especially when the Clippers, the Clippers have always been the Clippers and Kings have always been 2 horrible franchises. So those they were like doormats. The Clippers, Kings, and even the Warriors to some extent were always doormats for all the other teams in the league. What the Southwest Division right now is nothing like we've ever seen in the NBA, where every single team in that division is making the playoffs. That's completely unheard of. And it's not like you have a team that's under 500 that's knocking on the door for the playoffs, but you have a team that's over 500 that might not make the playoffs in New Orleans. And I'm just looking right now at the division records. New Orleans has the best inter-division record of all the teams in that division at 6-4. And that's crazy.
Well, one more question before I let you go. You brought up the Kings being a terribly run franchise. What was more strange, them bringing in George Karl or George Karl going there? Because I feel like that was, if I was George Karl, I would have waited it out and taken the Magic job, because they seemed interested too. That seems like maybe not a better, well, actually probably a better fit. And there's more promise in Orlando, in my opinion. You have the best player overall with DeMarcus Cousins, but I think you have the smallest ceiling as far as coaching Sacramento with an idiot owner and just a complete idiot franchise.
I think the strangest move was them bringing in George Karl. I can't fault George Karl for wanting to take that money. They shouldn't have been interested in bringing in a coach in the first place, because they had an excellent coach on their team. And they were, granted, it was just the beginning of the season, but Mike Malone had them competing at a high level, and they were one of the field stories at the beginning of the season until DeMarcus Cousins went out with that viral meningitis earlier in the year. They were in the playoff race, and firing Malone was just a mistake. It was a mistake, and I think everybody in the league knows it. And that's what signifies right there how horrible of a franchise they are. It doesn't matter if the Maloofs are running the franchise or these new owners are running it. This is terrible. This is terrible. So I don't fault George Karl at all for taking the money right now, because he's going to get paid regardless. If they win, if they lose, he's still going to get paid. And I don't think there's any real expectations for him to put together a winning franchise because nobody cares about Sacramento. They never have. They cared about it when they were doing good at the beginning of the season until Malone got fired. In Orlando, they have expectations. Orlando's one of those teams that have the front office that came from the Spurs and have all these high draft picks and a lot of young talent on their team. So George Karl went to Orlando. There will be expectations. There will probably be expectations for him to make the playoffs this year in the Eastern Conference. If he got hired at the time, he got hired right after the All-Star break. I don't think that he want to play for a coach with that type of pressure. I think he looked at Sacramento and was like, hey, this is some easy money. I'm going to go here. I'm going to win a couple of games, but nobody really is going to expect me to make the playoffs in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I agree with with Karl.
Take the money and run.
Yeah, take the money. I mean, just look in the East. I mean, it just looks like such a surefire way to have success. And yeah, you're right. When it comes down to the money, you got to take the money with
no expectations, right?
Right, and with Orlando, I mean, the only reason I say Orlando is I just like the makeup. Their backcourt, Oladipo and Elfrid Payton. If he can learn how to shoot free throws and comb his hair, it would be. That's a pretty good defensive backcourt. And then you got Vucevic. If they can bring back guys.
Not only that, Bob, he put the pressure on Sacramento to hire him because he said on a radio interview at some point before the All-Star break, he said the Magic, right after Jack Vaughn got fired, he said the Magic would be an interesting team to coach. So he sort of like put that feeler out there, and he put that bug in their ear that he would be interested in going to Orlando. He purposely did that. That was a very smart move by him because the Kings had been talking about hiring him for quite a while, but they just didn't make that offer. When he said that, here, don't just take our money and come over and help us. Like, he put the pressure on. That was a very, very smart move.
Well, Daryl, I appreciate you coming on. Do you want to tell everybody where we can find you on Twitter, the internets, all that good stuff?
First of all, you can find me on Twitter at Spitzgame, at SPITSGAME. You can find my musings at thepickandroll.com.au. During football season, you can catch me on ngscsports.com.
Awesome, Daryl.
Thanks for having me on the show, sir, Bob.
Yeah, no problem. It's always fun catching up with you, and we'll talk again soon, man.
And most definitely. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thanks, we'll do. Well, for the last 3 minutes here, I will be joined by Keith Grieve of 87 Sports Fan. Keith, how you doing, buddy?
Nothing like being pressed into emergency duty.
I like when you're pressed into emergency duty. You're like a long reliever after a starter has given up 5 runs.
Yes. You are correct, sir. That's my Ed McMahon impersonation, for those that are old enough to remember Ed McMahon on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
Oh, I was thinking of Vince McMahon.
No, very different. Very different.
Those are 2 different people.
Yep. Hey, did you know the hockey trade deadline's coming up in 16 hours?
I didn't know that there was a hockey trade deadline because it seems like there's trades made during the playoffs that, some guy just shows up out of nowhere.
Hockey is just a sport that it's just an enigma to me. I mean, I understand it, I guess. And being here in the upper Atlantic states, it should be more of a priority, I think, in my life. I just can't. I can't get into it.
It's I always, if I have somebody come on and they're like, well, you don't talk hockey, it's like, well, no. It's a fine sport. There's nothing to criticize about it. It's just I'm not into it. Like NBA or really that's it.
Right.
Like with hockey, it's funny to me with hockey where, it's something I should be into because there's fights, guys missing teeth, all their wives are hot. It's something I should be into, but I can't I feel like I should have gotten into hockey as a young kid. I should have played it. because I feel like I missed out on a lot of hot chicks over the years.
You've always got your priorities in line. That's what I like about you.
Yeah, and my theories in life.
Yes.
The hockey deadline. Yeah. So Keith, what are the big hockey trades we should expect? Is Wayne Gretzky to the Canucks for Mark Messier? Do you see that one happening?
I don't know if they're not an NHL '97 for Genesis. I have no idea.
I always liked. I was a big Wayne Gretzky hockey fan.
Those games were terrible.
Whoa. Come on.
That was terrible. I remember. I think I rented that game because I wasn't sure about it, and I'm just like, oh gosh, ouch. Because it's weird. We just talked about how like I never got into hockey or anything, but hockey video games, I liked those. They were fun. Yeah,
because you could fight, and that was pretty much the best part of it.
Yeah, you're too young to know about Blades of Steel, I'm assuming. On the original,
yeah, I've never heard that.
The original Nintendo Entertainment System. That was the first hockey game with fighting, and it was fantastic.
I always, in NBA games, I always try to get a flagrant foul or something. They really eliminated the flagrant foul, the hand checking when a guy's trying to make a layup or something. They really don't allow fighting or flagrant fouls in the NBA, which is why NBA games are not as good as hockey games, because you can level people, have no remorse about what you're doing, and it's pretty much who can have the most fights in a game.
Well, what system do you have? Do you play on?
PlayStation 4 or Xbox.
Because I have Xbox with Kinect, right? So, like, I curse at the TV and get a technical foul because it hears me.
Really?
Yeah.
I like the Xbox One. I'm a big fan of the saying Xbox on or Xbox off. Or when I'm not even playing a football game, I'll be like, check down, and try to talk the Xbox into doing things that make no sense during a game of Call of Duty.
Just turning it on with your voice is enough to I'm like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing. I just want to do this over and over and over again.
Yeah, and then eventually you get the red circle of death.
No, not this time. No.
Well, we are going to go, Keith. Thanks for participating in emergency duty. We're going to have emergency duty here at the end of the show as well.
I bet.
With some, some celebrity gossip.
Oh,
yeah. But we will be right back here on the Bob Sullivan Show with Jameson Welsh of a number of different websites here on the Bob Sullivan Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
With lust for the touch of your hand, I hate to always be
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
He's not compensating for anything. He just doesn't care. It's the Bob Sullivan Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Bob Sullivan Show. As you heard on LateNightSportsRadio.com. I'm joined here in hour number 2 by Jameson Welsh of BelieveTheHype.NBA.com. Jameson, how you doing tonight?
Doing well, Bob. Doing well, man. Greatly appreciate you having me on, man. It's always nice and it's always a pleasure to be on, so definitely appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, too. Are you in better health than the Chicago Bulls right now?
Man, the Bulls are rough, man. Like, the Bulls are so rough right now. It's not, I mean, I don't know if it's just bad luck or whatever, but it seems like there's always hurt. Like, it's not, it's something you can't really, can't really put your finger on it. There's always hurt. Like, there always are. I mean, I don't know why they haven't signed Nate Robinson, though. I mean, they need a point guard very badly. And Nate Robinson had success there. I don't know why they haven't, signed him yet. But hopefully that happens soon because we know Kirk Hinrich isn't the answer. And we know Aaron Brooks is not a starter, so.
I would love the combination of Aaron Brooks and Nate Robinson in the game at the same time. That would just be awesome television.
Well, those are both freaky guys. So when they're hot, they're hot. When they're not, it can get really ugly. But at least Nate doesn't, Nate's fearless. So when it comes down to playing and making plays and whatnot, he's fearless. He's not going to be scared of the moment. He's not going to be a guy that's, that's scared or tentative. He's going to take a shot. He's going to make it happen. So, I personally think she's got a bull she can look after. Plus, he's played for Tibbs, so I think it's a good fit. He's rested. He hasn't played in the league in 2 months now, so he's pretty well rested at this point. But no, I personally think when it comes down to it, when I'm looking at the Bulls, man, it's just tough. You can't really blame, really anyone or anything because it's the game, man. There's just, guys getting hurt more and more, and, part of it, a lot of people are talking about HGH, being outlawed in the NBA, and that's the reason why we see these injuries. It's a good question at this point in time.
Yeah, that I hadn't really thought about that. The HGH being outlawed, that, kind of hindered a lot of sports, let's be honest here. Kind of like steroids has affected Major League Baseball. Looking at the Bulls, it's funny. I was just talking about this, how, everybody's like, the Bulls are in trouble. This is not looking good. They're second in the East. I mean, maybe not for long, but they're second in the East. I mean, you look at if you say a team's in trouble in the West, they could fall from second to seventh easily. It's just fascinating for me to see with the Bulls. Even without Rose, they do need Jimmy Butler. This team could still make the Eastern Conference Finals with their front court.
Well, they're a weird team to gauge because they've had very high highs and very low lows. I mean, they went to Golden State and beat the Warriors in Oakland, and then they lose games they shouldn't lose. So you just don't know what team you're going to get, and they haven't really been consistent. So it's been a lot of things going on with them. My biggest thing is this: if they were healthy in the East, I mean, there's no way. I mean, there's no saying they can't do this, they can't do that. The East is very wide open, in my opinion. Even with Cleveland playing well as of late, the East is still wide open. The East is still, I mean, there's no dominant team in the East. I know Cleveland's playing well, and I know Atlanta has played well for most of the season, but there's no team that I'd be definitely afraid to play against. There's no, we were playing against them. Like, no, the East is still, for the most part, wide open. And if you have everyone else healthy and Derrick Rose comes back at the level he was playing before he got hurt, I mean, the Bulls can definitely win the East. It's not a problem. The biggest problem with the Bulls is this. They're not think about it like this. They're not a defensive team anymore. They're an offensive team. Like, they're an offensive first team. So you're an offensive first team, you got to fall back on those principles, because they, back in the day used to grind you out. Now they try to outscore you because they have a bunch of offensive players now. That's something that they have to adjust, and we'll see how that adjustment comes in playoff time.
What do you make of it's kind of quieted down over the last couple weeks, but what do you make of Thibodeau's war with the front office in Chicago and the it seems the continual war the front office always has with their coach, whether it be Phil Jackson, whether it be Vinny Del Negro, Scott Skiles, Thibodeau. What do you make of the way the Bulls operate in complete, they win games, but it's always seems dysfunctional between the front office, the players, and the coach.
Well, that's in a lot of situations. I mean, it's not just this one. It's in a lot of situations. But this is a weird situation because Thibodeau is regarded as a really good coach, probably one of the best 3 to 5 coaches in the league. So it's a weird situation that he has so much success, but the owners and the front office don't like him for various reasons. I mean, they got rid of his favorite assistant coach. They've done a lot of things. So it's a weird situation, and it's a situation where there's already rumors about his replacement middle of the season, and like you mentioned, they're second in the East. Something's not right here. Something isn't right. So it's a very weird situation. It's something that honestly, when I think about it, it's a situation where it's where you can't really put your finger on it. But there's more than what we know. There is more than what we know. But front office, as we saw in the NFL with the 49ers, and we've seen in the NBA many times, a lot of times it comes down to egos. And if you have a GM and owner that has a bigger ego than the coach, you're going to have a lot of problems.
Yeah, I think it would be one of the best things ever if after Popovich moves on in San Antonio, a guy who's all about preservation of his players and playing limited minutes early on, saving guys for the playoffs, for them to look at a guy like Thibodeau who runs guys into the ground and plays guys continually 35 and 40 minutes a game. I think that would be a great transition for the San Antonio Spurs.
Well, you know what? Honestly, I mean, they're probably going to go with someone that's familiar with their system. I don't see them deviating, from going outside the box like that. The biggest problem is this. Thibodeau's going to be a Lakers coach or the Knicks coach very shortly. He's going to be that guy. So there's going to be a bidding war for him very shortly. So whenever he gets fired or let go, released, or however you want to call it, he's going to have a job. Like, he's going to have a job waiting for him, depending on what job he wants to take. So that's my whole thing is, can he adjust on his next job? Because obviously, we know he's not going to finish his career in Chicago. It's not going to happen. But can he go somewhere else and make some adjustments and finally figure out, hey, maybe playing my guys 40 minutes a night isn't the right thing. Maybe I should hold back and do a little something different this time around. Because obviously this isn't working because you end up tiring your guys out in the NBA. There's just so much wear and tear on guys. You just can't play them at those kind of minutes and expect them to be great for the full season.
Well, and it's kind of foolish for him to do it. Because you look at if you're in the West, you kind of have, I get if you run guys into the ground. I mean, I get it because it's such a war to get into the playoffs. If you're in the East, it makes really no sense to just bury guys. I mean, and it's not like they don't have depth there in Chicago. It just doesn't make sense to me with, this year, really over the last few years, they've probably been, 1 or 2 as far as depth in the Eastern Conference, and continually has guys playing 35, 40 minutes like a Jimmy Butler or, Heinrich or Rose. You just look at that team. There's no reason to be playing guys that many minutes in the Eastern Conference when you're that good.
Well, the East is a little bit different because in the past they weren't that deep. This year, this is probably the deepest team in the NBA. I mean, talent-wise, when everyone healthy, it's probably the deepest team in the NBA. So I don't understand why he plays guys at so many minutes. My biggest issue with him is, you got to make adjustments. You can't have the same flaw over and over again. Like, you can't have the same flaw. Like, that's just certain things you just can't have. You can't have the same flaw year in and year out. You just cannot. So until that gets fixed or until he makes adjustments, then, it's going to be the same old story. But Jimmy Butler's a guy that's going to be very interesting to see what takes place with him because he's going to get offered a lot of money this summer. And if he wants to go elsewhere and they don't want to match, which could happen, it'd be very interesting to see. Very interesting to see because that's a situation where a guy has played a lot of minutes for Tibbs over the last couple of years. He may be sick and tired of, playing these kind of minutes and dealing with Thibodeau. He may decide to go elsewhere. Something to keep an eye on.
With Rose, do you think he does come back come playoff time?
Yes, I do think he'll be back. I think he'll be back in a month. I think the meniscus is 4 to 6 weeks. I do think he'll be back. I don't think it's as bad as everyone thought it would be. I hope he comes back for playoffs because they actually have a chance to win it. Like, this is their chance to, they have a chance to go far in the playoffs. I really do with the right matchups. I think they can do really, really well. My biggest thing with them is this: like, can they get healthy? Can they get their whole team healthy at the same time? Because at the same time, my whole thing is, if you're not healthy come playoff time, you have no chance. But if they can get healthy, they can beat anybody because they have talent, they have depth. I mean, they got guys that are in their lineup. I mean, they got Mirotic, who is playing really well right now. He had a really good game today. So, they have a bunch of guys that can play. It's just about being healthy and staying healthy at the same time.
What's more fascinating to you right now, the race for 8th in the East or the race for 8th in the West?
Oh, the West by far. I mean, because the Pelicans aren't going away. They're on a 5-game winning streak. They're a team that they're pretty decently well coached. I think Monty Williams is an okay coach. I think he's better than the average coach. He has them play hard every night, and they're without Anthony Davis, they're holding their own, and that's pretty good. That's pretty impressive. The East is just not really impressive because there's teams that are 10 games below 500, and I can't really get excited about teams with losing records competing for playoff spots, no matter how exciting it may be. No matter, even though the Celtics blew a 26-point lead and they won today, it probably would have been playoffs by Tuesday. It's not exciting when teams are that bad in the playoff contention. That's just something I can't get behind.
That was one of the better compliments I've ever heard anybody give about Monty Williams. He's a decent coach. Yeah, he's doing okay. He's doing pretty well with them. Yeah, I mean, I do like the Pelicans. Anthony Davis. I'm actually kind of rooting for the Spurs to fall out of the playoff picture so that the Thunder and Pelicans make it. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'd like to see both of those teams make it because I think they'd both be, the Pelicans I think would be a fun team to watch come playoff time.
Right. Well, we all want to see Anthony Davis in the playoff series. I mean, I think that's the key. I mean, we all want to see him playing in playoffs without him having to restructure the whole playoff system. Because right now, they're probably on the way of restructuring this whole thing because they want to get one of their guys in the playoffs year in, year out. So, personally, I think that's all the record happening anyway. But it'd be nice to see him in the playoffs. It seems like somebody in the West is going to drop out. I don't know who, but someone that's in the top 8 now is going to drop out. So we'll just see what takes place. But, who knows? Honestly, when it comes down to it, the way this thing is going, it's so hard to predict because there's so much stuff in the West that can go wrong. In the West, if you have an 0 for 4 week in the Western Conference, you can pretty much lose your seeding. So in the West, it's always fascinating. There's so much stuff going on. There's a lot of fascinating storylines in the West.
What do you think with Golden State, they have the best record right now, but I also feel like, of the top teams, I kind of feel like they're vulnerable. There's always the possibility of Bogut getting injured. They're one of the deeper teams when you got David Lee and Iguodala coming off the bench. It's never a bad thing. But it just, them facing OKC, that's got to make you nervous as far as they go. They're better coached than OKC, which might end up benefiting them.
They'll take care of OKC. If they match with OKC, that series won't get past 6 games.
Yeah.
Because the thing about this, OKC likes to run. Like, OKC isn't a slow-down team. OKC likes to run. That's fine. But running with Golden State isn't smart because, as we know, you really can't run with Golden State. So if you're going to run with them, that's cool because now they're getting open shots and they're playing their style. It's a bad matchup for OKC. That's something that I would not advise. I would not. If I'm OKC, I try to get the 7th spot because even though Memphis is a tough matchup and they play Memphis up all the time, if I'm OKC, I try to get the 6th spot or get the 7th spot. I don't want to see Golden State because they can't outrun Golden State. They can't. As good as Kevin Durant is, he's banged up still, and I don't think he's going to be 100% this year. Like he'll show flashes, but he won't be 100% this year. And then also, when I look at Westbrook, he's been hurt like 3 different times this year. And he's been awesome this year. Don't get me wrong, but he's been hurt so much. I don't know. Like I would take my chances with Golden State and not feel bad about it.
With Durant, I've asked this question to a few people, but do you think we're foot injuries are not they're not something people, get away from. Once you have them, they kind of are there to stay. Are you concerned about him long term with the way his health has started to kind of catch up with him? I know this is 1 year, but it just takes 1 year for things to start building up.
Well, I'm not concerned just yet. I'm more aware now because 7-footers with foot injuries usually don't get better. That's something that you got to be very, very careful. That's something that you got to be very, very careful with. So, my whole thing is, if you're a 7-footer, young guy that's finally, had a bunch of foot injuries and foot issues, that's something that doesn't improve. And you better have a very good specialist or doctor on the payroll because it's going to happen again. So when it happens again, you want to make sure that, make sure that this is right and make sure you have the right person working with it. Because if something goes wrong again, it can be really bad. And I know Kevin Durant's not a large guy, he's not a big guy at the same time. You really don't want to chance that. That's a tough thing to have to go through. So you want to make sure you have the right people in place. You want to make sure that he's getting the right advice because that injury is not going to get better. And you want to make sure you stay on top of it because whoever signs in next summer to a max contract, it's going to be a lot of money. And you know what? You can't have him take up 25% of your cap and he's on the bench and street lows.
With the players that are available this offseason, Dragic, Rondo, looking at those type of guys, who do you think's going to get the most money undeservedly?
Ooh, that's a great question. Oh, man, that's a really good question. I think Danny Green's going to get severely overpaid. Like, he's going to get something he has no business getting. Like, he's going to get a contract like, whoa, what is going on here? It's going to be one of those situations. Wesley Matthews is going to get paid a lot of money, but he plays really well. He can do a lot of different things. But no, Danny Green's going to get a contract like, whoa, what? I mean, Goran Dragic is going to get $20 million a year, which is incredible. Like, I don't get it at all. But when it comes down to it, it looks like that. A guy like Danny Green's going to get paid a lot because he plays the two-guard position. Not a lot of two guards. Pretty good defender. Pretty good three-point shooter. So he's going to get paid off that. But, somebody's going to get a contract that's a hair raiser or eyebrow raiser. It's probably going to be him. Goran Dragic is going to get his money because Miami didn't trade 2 first-rounders for him not to sign back. So they're going to pay him. And then, it goes from there. It'll go from there. I just don't. There's no surprises. The guy Chris Middleton from the Bucks is going to get paid a lot too. But if I had to bet on it, I would say Danny Green is going to get a contract he doesn't deserve.
Yeah, that seems that I agree with that. Yeah, Danny Green's going to get an enormous amount of money, probably from somebody like the Bucks or the Timberwolves, probably. But also the funny thing that happened at the deadline with Phoenix, they got rid of Plumlee, they got rid of Isaiah Thomas, they got rid of Dragic. I know they're kind of ahead of schedule with everything they're doing. Like last year, they weren't supposed to be a 48-win team. They should have been they should have been, a lottery pick team. And they're ahead of schedule with the way things are going. But as far as Phoenix goes, do you know what the hell they're doing?
No one does. They're really struggling right now. They're trying to find their way. And, even trading for Brandon Knight, okay, so if someone offers Brandon Knight a contract you don't want to back, then what? You go from having 4 point guards in your roster that have some sort of talent, some sort of way of making it on the court to now having one, and one that's very injury prone. So no one knows what Phoenix is doing. Honestly, no one knows. It doesn't make any sense. They're probably going to lose Gerald Green, who I thought they should have moved at the deadline because, he's probably not going to come back. Could have moved him. You have the Morris twins that could play. You have Alex Lynn who could play a little bit. He stays banged up. But I don't understand. I didn't understand the Isaiah Thomas signing. Didn't understand that. And then you knew that was going to make Dragic play well. So he's upset. He's not having a good year. And now you dump Dragic, you dump Isaiah Thomas. And then you dump the Lakers pick, which didn't make any sense at all because that's a very valuable pick. Whether it's this year or next year, it's a pretty valuable pick. And for them just to dump that didn't quite make sense to me. It really didn't.
Do you think, I think Phoenix, it's like, they kind of fell into, not really a pot of gold, but they fell into something. They didn't realize, things were going so well, and they panicked and got rid of every asset they had. And, with Isaiah Thomas, I didn't feel like that was ever going to be a good fit. Dragic, things went sour really quickly, surprisingly, because he didn't seem like a guy that would be, sour on a situation that quickly. It just, I don't know what they're doing. They obviously don't know what they're doing. And it's going to be interesting going forward. I mean, and it's a really undisciplined team. Who knows if Hornacek's even the right guy there, coaching wise, because, there's always problems on the bench. There's always problems, playing wise. There's always some kind of, technicals going on. It's really an undisciplined team as well.
Well, my whole thing is this. It seems like whenever they make a step forward, their front office takes 2 steps backwards. When everything seems to be going well, it seems like someone over there messes things up. I don't know if it's ownership. I don't know if it's the front office. I'm not sure what it is, but it always feels like they mess things up. And it's just weird because, they had a good thing going last year. They, in my opinion, if you're going to go after players, or I would went after a star player, I would went after a guy to get some pieces back. Let's say if Cleveland didn't get the number 1 pick, I would have offered a Godfather deal in Minnesota, try to get Kevin Love and make him the focal point of your team and build around that. That's what they need to do. They got to get a guy that's an all-star player. They have a lot of decent players, a lot of okay players, a lot of even good players, but no one's an all-star type player on that roster. And until you get an all-star player you can build around, you're going to have the same results, and you're going to have these weird situations go on. And, Eric Bledsoe and Brandon Knight are pretty much the same kind of player. They're both combo guards. So you're going to pay, Bledsoe's already making $14, $15 a year. You're going to play Brandon Knight the same, if not more. So you're going to lock up $20 to $25 to $30 million in your backcourt for that. It doesn't add up.
Yeah, it's a mess down there, that's for sure. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be right back here with Jameson Welsh here on the Bob Sullivan Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Away from the things you say, the things you say, yeah, the thoughts you you till so far away. I know can't walk away from the things you say, the things you say, yeah, the price you pay, the price you pay for love. Can't walk away from the things you say, the things you say, yeah, the price you pay, the price you pay for love. No, no, no. Can't walk away from the things you say, the things you say, yeah, the price you pay for love. Can't walk away from the things you say, the things you say, yeah, the price you pay for love. Can't walk
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
There's a reason his initials are BS. It's the Bob Sullivan Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. I am joined by Jameson Welsh of LeaveTheHypeNBA.com. Jameson, we were talking about them over the break, but the Utah Jazz, they, not going to make the playoffs, but they've been a fun team to watch. Going forward, with guys like Favors, they got a lot of good young talent, and Quinn Snyder, one of them, becoming an underrated coach in this league. What have you seen from them this year that, makes you have how many years out do you think, they could possibly sneak up next year, but when do you think that their year is when they're going to pop with this squad?
Well, I think it won't be next year, it'll be the year after when they make their run, but they're very well coached and they have an identity as a team, and they're still trying to find their way, and they're very young in the backcourt. But, they're finding their way, and they have some guys that can really play. Rudy Gobert is a guy that a lot of people don't know about, but he's coming. He's the guy that's 7'1", very athletic guy, has a really good feel for the basketball, and that's key. A lot of guys at 7'1" can't play a lick. Rudy Gobert has a lot of skills. There's games where he has 4 and 5 assists along with double-digit points, double-digit rebounds, and multiple blocks. So always a fascinating thing to watch young guys develop. He's key. If he develops at the rate he's going at now, they'll be in the playoffs very quickly. I just wonder, what their backcourt situation is going to be. You got Trey Burke and you have Dante Exum. Either Dante Exum is going to be your point guard or Trey Burke is eventually. Kind of have to figure that out going forward, especially of a team that's on the rise. And I don't think Trey Burke wants to continue to come off the bench going forward. I think he's cool with that in spurts right now, but eventually he wants to be a starter. And there's other jobs in the league where he can't start. So I just think that eventually that's going to be an issue. But for the most part, they're on the right track. They have a lot of young guys that are playing a lot. Dante Exum is starting versus all the other elite point guards in the league, so that's a good thing. But eventually they got to figure out what they're going to do at that position and also at the shooting guard position because they gave Alec Burks a lot of money. He hasn't played that much this season, at any this season. So they got to figure out what they're going to do with him.
When over All-Star Weekend, they did something that, I thought was pretty cool. With the rookie-sophomore game, they turned it into, the world versus the U.S., which, it seems like in every walk of life that's the way it is. But looking at the way the world played, isn't it kind of alarming how skilled the world has become and, how individualistic the United States has become as far as play goes?
Well, I will say this. For the longest time, the world has done very well in giving basketball talent and producing talented guys, and the world is so much of a so much of a broad term because think about this. Canada is considered the world, but if you have North America versus the world, that makes the American team a lot much stronger. So it really just depends on your qualifications and your classifications regardless matter. But the world's been producing a lot of top 10 talent for a while now. It's definitely no surprise. You have so many young guys that can play. It's just fun seeing it all, honestly. It's fun being able to watch it develop. I mean, seeing a guy like Wiggins develop and play at a high level every night, it's a good thing. You can tell he's going to be a future star. You know, seeing Zach LaVine, you know, have his flashes here and there, it's a good thing. So it's you know, it's pretty interesting right now. We're in an era right now when it comes down to guys. It's a fun era. You have guys from all over the place, all over the world, and they're making impacts. It's really fun. The center in Denver, I can't pronounce his name, but he's a guy that he's going to be a future building block for them. He's starting, playing a lot of minutes. That's how it's supposed to be, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that new format, and it really, you know, it's funny to watch with how teams like, you know, Minnesota and Utah have quietly sucked and developed all these assets, and then you have a team like Philadelphia who has, you know, outright sucked and admitted that they're going to suck for a while, and there was really nothing to show in that game for them.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, that's the thing. A lot of people don't understand. A lot of people are trading and getting assets, but eventually you got to cash those in. And if you don't cash them in the right things, you wasted everyone's time and money. That's just not a good deal.
Yeah. Watching the Bucks over the last, this year, obviously the surprise team in the East, really probably in the league. Nobody expected him to be that good. Everybody was kind of laughing at Jason Kidd, thought he was an idiot. And if it wasn't for Atlanta, he'd probably be coach of the year. With Milwaukee, what do you like most about them right now?
Well, I like that they're a young team that plays hard every night. They're not that good defensively, and they definitely have their lows defensively. But they play hard every night, and they have guys that everyone knows their role. Everyone knows exactly what to expect. There's no confusion. There's no one fighting for minutes or fighting for touches. Everyone knows what they're supposed to do. So it's a pretty good team. I like what Jason Kidd has done over there. I just want to see if you can get Michael Carter-Williams to take that next step, because obviously there's talent there. When you have a 6'6", 6'7" guy that can play the point guard position in the fin, obviously there's talent there. I just want to see if he can get him to play, to get better on the offensive end and get better with his jumper, because eventually, if you're going to be in the NBA, you got to have a jumper. You got to be, if you're going to play the point guard, you got to have something of a jumper, especially in this day and age, in this league that we have. So I want to see if he can develop him going forward. But guys like Chris Middleton can play. Jared Dudley's had a resurgence there. It's pretty fun to watch. I mean, for a team that no one thought they'd win 20 games, they're holding on to this. I think they're actually at the fifth spot right now in the East, and that's very impressive considering where people thought they may have been, in October or November.
Do you think they can win a series?
If they get the right team, yes, but I wouldn't favor them over anyone. Like I wouldn't favor them over any team at the moment. Like there's no one I would favor. I mean, there's no one. Even as bad as Washington's playing right now, I would still take Washington over them in the series just because they really don't have a whole lot of playoff experience. I mean, all their guys are either 1 or 2 year guys, or all their role players. Some of the role players have experience. They don't have meaningful playoff experience. I just wouldn't trust them in a long series. But you never know. I mean, teams grow up right before your eyes. You just never know. But also at the same time, Michael Carter-Williams is a guy that in a playoff setting, he may go off. So who knows? With a team like this, it's so unknown with no expectations. That's without the most dangerous.
What do you think the biggest problem right now with Washington is?
Well, you know what? I think part of it is Bradley Beal not being hurt or not being able to play. Like that's the key. If he was healthy, then things would be obviously a lot different. But when he's not healthy, he can only do so much. They don't have a whole lot of depth at the perimeter spots. I mean, they don't have a whole lot of options they can go to. So it's a rough situation. It's a situation to where, you know what, I really don't know what to really think of them right now. I don't know if they're going to make a run, or I don't know if they're going to implode. just don't know. So it's a weird situation, in my opinion. It's something that I can't put my finger on it, but they got to get together quickly because they went from third in the East to sixth in the West, sixth in the East very quickly. And that's something that's not good. You don't want to be trending downward in the East. That's something that if you're trending downward in the East, you're pretty much going to be one and done. That's not good. They're better than that when they're fully healthy. I just don't know what to expect from this team. I really don't, because they started off so well, had a little lull, picked it back up, and now they're moving to the Sixers and stuff. So just don't know quite what to expect.
The East, it's been weird. Obviously when DeRozan was down, Toronto had struggles, and I mean, understandably. But I feel like with Toronto, I feel they're good, but I feel like they have too many players that play the same position, and I feel that's going to make them very vulnerable come playoff time. Do you agree with that?
I don't necessarily think that. My biggest problem would be this. When it comes down to it, when it comes down to the Raptors, I just don't think they have enough talent to get to a conference final. I don't think they have enough guys that I can count on. They got some guys that can play. They got a lot of guys that I like, but when it comes down to it, I'm not sold on Valanciunas being the guy, your best big in a playoff series. I'm not sold on that just yet. Now, they may be better suited to be a playoff team than they are a regular season team. They may be that, but until they show me, I can't trust them. I just can't trust them. They're another team that's losing games. They're also the Knicks the other night. Like, that should never happen. The Knicks are one of the teams you shouldn't lose to in the league. If you're an NBA team, the Knicks and Lakers right now, and the Sixers are teams you should not lose to.
Yeah, the as much as it sucks. That should never be the case. I was saying this earlier. The worst part of being a Knicks fan is just seeing all the role players that other teams have. Like when Ariza leaves and goes and wins the title with the Lakers. Jordan Hill, not this year, but he's played well with the Lakers at times. And then, you just look around. J.R. Smith's now playing well. Mozgov's playing well. That whole Denver team when they had Gallinari and Chandler healthy, they were playing well. That's the worst part of being a Knicks fan, is seeing these role players go off and then having better careers elsewhere. That's the worst, absolute worst.
Well, a lot of it's in circumstances. I mean, Shumpert and J.R. Smith, they're playing well because they're on a better team. Same thing with Tyson Chandler. My biggest thing was this. There was no need to trade Tyson Chandler when you traded him. Like, you could have waited until the deadline to trade him and you got a lot more back for him that could have helped you out with your rebuilding situation. They didn't get back much for him, and I think that's going to hurt them. That's going to hurt the Knicks going forward. But you know what? I do think when it comes to the Knicks, even though they're a major team, they're a team that, yes, they have history and remember them being in the '90s, but they haven't won a championship in a very long time. So there's not a. I don't understand where the whole Tyler Bus situation comes from, because they haven't won a championship in most of our lifetimes. So people really need to chill on that.
In none of our lifetimes on this show.
Right.
Well, speaking of the Knicks, Anthony Mason passed away. What is the thing that you will remember most about Mace?
Man, several things, but the first thing is he was always a bigger guy that played like a small ball forward. He's always played, always had handles. Even though he played a rugged type of game, he always had those handles for a small ball four, or he played a three sometimes. He really wasn't a three, but he played it a lot. So he was always rebounding, always a tough guy. So it was always good to watch him. He played like a true New Yorker. He carried that, that part on his heart and on his chest as a true New Yorker. So it was always good to watch him. Plus, he always had the really cool designs in his hair, whether it was his name or a Nike sign or whatever it was. It was always really cool.
Yeah, and he really kind of started the power guard, or the point forward position in the NBA. Being able to bring the ball up being able to bring the ball up the court, and then as well as to put somebody on their ass down in the low post. Really kind of a very underrated guy to have on your team. Made it one All-Star team with the Heat, and it's with New York. he gets a lot of, everybody loves him. And it seems like since that 90s team, I don't think New Yorkers they've never really had a guy like Mason at all, or like Oakley, but New York used to love guys like that. There hasn't been a guy to really fall in love with for the Knicks, and I think that's really hurt the team in general, not having a fan favorite like that, a rugged guy. Because, New York, I don't think people realize how blue-collar town it is. It's not, what the Yankees have become where they spend all this money. That's not really New York. It's kind of, more blue-collar than people give it credit for.
Well, it's definitely blue-collar, but it's a different – I'd say when I think of the Knicks and the people in New York, it's more of a aggressive place. The New Yorkers are aggressive people by nature, not like ruthless or anything, just aggressive people. And the Knicks played aggressive, like people in their city. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think, think of Anthony Mason, he's one of the faces of those teams, and the Lions had a lot of success. He was that guy. He played with an edge on his, chip on his shoulder. He played well, and a lot of people remember him for that. And it's unfortunate that he's gone, but he was a guy that really, when he came to play, when it came to, bringing it every night, man, he was something special because he complimented Ewing very well. And back in those days, not like today where you had, pretty much one center and that was it. You had a bunch of big men back in the day that could do what, Mason did, and he did it. He was kind of undersized, but he complimented, that team very well for what they needed.
Yeah, and, also Jerome Kersey passing away a week ago. What's one thing you'll remember most about Kersey?
Well, there's a couple things. One, I remember one of those Blazer teams, they always played hard, and they always gave people problems. And you also remember him as Laker. I remember him being on Lakers, I believe it was Kobe's rookie year. And he was on the Lakers. He was one of the veteran guys trying to, help out. It wasn't, he tried. It wasn't a whole lot he could do, but he definitely tried. But no, he was a Laker, played a little bit. I remember him missing a layup and versus the Bulls. It was the Bulls. I believe it was during their run, their 72-10 run. I believe Lakers were up by probably 10 or 15 points or whatever in the fourth quarter. He misses the layup, starts the Bulls run, they end up winning the game, and that story ends. But Jerome Kersey's guys, remember him always playing hard, running hard, and always dunking on people. And to see him die at an early age, and it's just crazy. These guys are dying around 50, man, and that's people don't hit their peak in life until 50 at times. It's kind of scary. These guys are dying before 50. It makes you really think about things.
Yeah, it's so weird seeing all these guys that we rooted for growing up all of a sudden are kind of not dropping like flies, but there's a lot of Mason, Tarpley. I mean, look at Kersey. I mean, even Wayman Tisdale, guys that we grew up watching. Dropping at in their late 40s, early 50s. It's kind of sad to say this, but I don't think with the way players take care of their bodies now, the way guys of the 90s, 80s, 90s haven't really you see these guys post career, how poorly they kind of take care of themselves after their careers are over, and it's kind of led to some premature deaths.
Well, that's the case. I remember seeing Anthony Mason on the 30 for 30 doc for the Knicks, the Knicks and Pacers a few years back. He was really big, and I remember damn, that's not really healthy because when you get older, obviously you're not as active. He's always a bigger guy in general, so that just really wasn't a good mix. But also, we don't know the ins and outs of these guys. We don't know if they were on drugs. We don't know if they have pre-existing conditions. We just don't know. So it's a lot of things that, unfortunately, it's a situation where we just don't know. And things do happen. Just thank God that, Chris Bosh got the help he needed, when he got it, because he could have been another guy that could have, something bad could have happened to. So a lot of it is not, some of it is just bad situations, and some of it is, a lot of guys bring things upon themselves. I mean, you mentioned Roy Tarpley. We all know his issues with substance abuse and whatnot. So this is it's weird, man. Everyone's situation is different. There's no one way or no one reason to say this is right or that's right. everyone has different situations.
Well, Jameson, I appreciate you coming on here tonight. Do you want to tell everybody where we can find you on Twitter, the internets, all that good stuff?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm on Twitter at @TheJameson. Always fun being on, and I'm always on Twitter a lot. Also on Monday mornings, find me on Fox Sports 670 AM in Vegas, and Tuesday I'm on Fox Sports New Mexico. Wednesday I'm at Wednesday Fox Sports Vegas again, and then Thursday I'm usually on Sullivan Show in Utah, the KOL 750, and then Friday I take a break. Then on weekends we have our Triple J NBA talk. So I'm all over the place. It's pretty fun.
All over the West Coast, all over the United States. Jameson, I appreciate you coming on. I hope to talk to you again soon before playoffs start, and talk again soon, man.
Definitely appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. And we'll be right back here on the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Every morning in the same place. Feels like I'm living in a worst case scenario. And all that's keeping me together is just the beat from the stereo. Out on the street, out on the subway, I've got my kick, my bass, so don't say nothing to me. 'Cause even if it is the worst day, I've got my music and I'm feeling free. So play on, so play on. Music, take me up, save me, you can save me. Music, take me up, 'cause you can save me, you can save me. Dreams in me forsaken. I see the buildings, the for sale signs dragging them down. I can't believe the turn we've taken. Just question why I choose to hang around. But every time I start to falter and feel the pressure of the city life come alive, I let the music take me higher, and I know everything will be alright. So play on, play on. So play on, play on. Music, take me up, save me, you can save me. Music, take me up, 'cause you can save me, you can save me. So just don't stop, 'cause you can stay right here forever. Music, take me up, take me up, take me up, take me up, 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 up. Out on the street, out on the subway, I see the buildings, the for sale signs. Take me up, the music, take me higher, and I know everything will be alright. Music, take me up, save me, you can save me. Music, take me up, 'cause you can save me, you can save me. Music, take me up, save me, you can save me. Music, take me up, 'cause you can save me, you can save me.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. I'd like to thank Daryl Wilson and Jameson Welsh for being on tonight, and producer Keith Grief for mop-up duty, emergency duty. Keith, you're always so good at that.
I don't know whether that's a backhanded compliment or...
Well, it was just a compliment. Just accept the compliment.
I'm no
Say
good at
thank you and we'll move on.
I'm no good at that. I'm just no good at that.
Well, we're going to get into some celebrity gossip here. I get the pleasant opportunity to read celebrity gossip overnight. It's one of my special qualities. Keith, get this. So Justin Timberlake, who's married to Jessica Biel, he has been banned from the delivery room for Jessica Biel's child, or their child. What's your take on that?
By who?
By Jessica. Jessica's banned him.
That can't be true.
Why not?
Why, are they fighting or something? I mean,
Yeah, they've been having a huge fight. They, reportedly hired divorce lawyers. He's not allowed into the delivery room. That's got to be tough as a father and a former NSYNC member not being in the delivery room. Unless you're Lance Bass, that's got to be bad news.
Well, it sucks to be going through this when all these. If they're really getting a divorce and she's going to have his child, I mean, I'd be drinking my face off if I were him.
Yeah,
my God.
I'd be drinking heavily, and I would also, and if I were him, I mean, watching the birth of a child, I'll pass on that. I would take that more as a privilege to not have to witness something like that.
Yeah. See, it depends. Now, I was in the delivery room for the births of both my children, but there was C-sections going on. So I could have stood up and looked in if I wanted to, like inside the wide open stomach, but
yeah,
I chose not to.
Well, you'd probably think with a celebrity like Jessica Biel, she's going to want to keep things together down there, so she's probably going to go C-section as well, right?
I would imagine that too, although there is cosmetic, issues there for a celebrity like her. So yeah. I don't know what she would do.
Yeah, there's any number of things she could do.
But the fact that if she was trying to keep me out of the delivery room just to be for the sake of family friendliness, a jerk about it, I'd be fighting that with every fiber of my being. I'd be trying to make her life so damn miserable.
Yeah, I would guilt her into it.
No, basically. No guilt. I'd just drive her into the ground psychologically. Just be on her. How dare you? How could you do that? Just oh my God. If she was going to do that and start that crap with me, she'd be done.
Yeah, make her feel like crap. That's the best. That's always the best medicine.
Love you.
Next piece of news. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, who've been longtime friends, worked on movies together, and actually kind of had, it's kind of weird. Matt Damon's career is kind of, on the downward slope, while Ben Affleck's is kind of, on the upturn, opposite of what we saw in the early 2000s. They're both battling over the role of Paul Newman in an upcoming biopic. And rumors have it that their friendship could be in trouble over this role. How much will this affect you if their friendship is over?
Not at all.
Not at all. I would kind of feel bad. I mean, this is, it's not really a bromance. It seems like a real friendship. It's not Brad Pitt and George Clooney where they just slob all over each other. No. And it almost becomes homoerotic at a certain point. I feel like these two legit friends, legit, good guys of Hollywood. I don't want to see this tear them apart. It would hurt me.
See, if out of the two of them, the guy that I would want to go get beers with and shoot the breeze with would be Affleck.
Same here.
Damon just comes off a little too pompous for me, a little too full of himself. Maybe I'm wrong. But
he's a nose looker downer.
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, and with these two, the last time they competed over a role was over Geely, and that one definitely went in Damon's favor by passing on that role. And I'm kidding; those two did not go head to head. That was Ben Affleck saying, "I want the crappiest role possible, so I'm going to take Geely with Jennifer Lopez, and this is going to be the worst movie of all time."
Well, he took the role saying it couldn't possibly be as bad as Daredevil, and then
yeah, that was absolutely horrible as well. Man, Affleck's had some real duds.
He's very uneven in his repertoire. I will give you that.
Yeah, he has nothing that's like in the middle. It's either really horrible or really good.
Like what was the Jack Ryan movie he was in? Sum of All Fears.
Yeah, that was good.
That was good. That was all right. I'm trying to think.
Gone Girl okay?
Who?
Gone Girl.
Yeah, that was a good movie. He was good in that. He was good in The Town.
What do you think the best movie of those two is? Is it
Gone Girl or The Town? Those are my choices.
No. Who has the best movie out of those two? Is it Affleck or Damon? And it would probably be what's it called with Robin Williams with the janitor.
Yeah, Good Will Hunting. Oh, you mean the two of them together?
No, not together, but combined. Who has the better? Who has the best movie overall?
I don't know. Damon's got the Bourne movies. Those are pretty good.
Those are okay.
Those are pretty good. I'm just looking down. I'm going down the list right now. IMDb.
Yeah, The Departed's pretty. What would you? Yeah, I wouldn't really say Damon was fantastic in The Departed. I mean, he was good, but
he's pretty good though.
Yeah, I mean, it's Leo though. Leo and Jack, which brings me to another topic.
You know what another underrated Matt Damon role is though.
What's that?
Ocean's 11.
Yeah, he's really good in that, and also Euro Trip.
What?
He was in Euro Trip.
What the hell is Euro Trip? I've never even heard of Euro Trip. It's
like the road trip sequel type of thing. Where
2004. There it is.
Yeah, he plays he sings one of the greatest songs of all time. Well, whatever it is, it's a good song. Which brings me to my next point about Jack and Leo. Jack has told Leo DiCaprio, Jack Nicholson has told Leo DiCaprio, don't wind up like me. Find somebody and marry her. Bad advice or good advice from Jack?
Is my wife going to listen to this?
I think it's terrible.
What's that?
I think that's terrible advice.
What?
If you're Leo, if you just find some woman right now and marry her, she's going to walk away with half your money in 5 years. So why not just sit on your money and, keep slaying away in Hollywood with whatever model comes across your table.
Oh, we want prenup. You know how that goes.
Last piece of juicy gossip. George Clooney is reportedly never going to be president due to his love for strippers, parties, and booze. Did you even know that he was possibly going to be a politician?
No.
I didn't either. I mean, he seems, like a politician because he likes strippers, parties, and booze.
Pretty sure I wouldn't vote for him.
I would. I'd give him my vote. He seems like a nice guy. He's on guitar. That brings us to the conclusion of celebrity gossip news. Sullivan Show. Take care. Good night.